We have the subject of benefits of play for young children. And I'm going to talk specifically about ideas for using play to teach concept. I'll make this full screen. Okay. Okay, so ideas for using play to teach concept. So some of the ways we can teach concept is through song and dance. Examples are songs like the ABCs, shoe tying songs, the lineup song, Wheels on the Bus, stuff like that. So singing requires a child to interact mentally and often physically through dance and movement. Musical activities involve many different parts of the brain, so singing helps develop these areas, as neurological studies from the UK and Germany and the US have found. Through dance, children develop spatial awareness. They become less clumsy and pay more attention to others, sharing their space. Children struggling with language can express their feelings with immediacy through dance and movement. According to Vygotski's theory, one of the ones we talked about in Chapter 2, children are more likely to remember a concept when it's associated with enough challenge to keep them from getting bored. That was kind of the zone of proximal development that was found in Chapter 2. An additional way is through games. Games like hide and seek help children understand the concept of lost and found. If something's not in sight, you have to find it. Playing things like pass or catch helps children understand sharing and taking turns. If you have one ball and they're all throwing it, they obviously have to share and take turns or the game doesn't work. Trampoline games are a big one. It helps them understand a lot physically because they experience balancing, gravity, and momentum, especially when they're playing with other kids. Games benefit children by helping them use their imagination, play with other children, exercise, and understand many physically interactive concepts, such as ducking when something is swinging at your head or jumping over an obstacle you can't go under, obviously. So I'm actually going to play, for toys and crafts, I'm actually going to play this video. This is my daughter today. We're playing with Play-Doh. It's one of her favorite things, one of her favorite toys. And we've been working on counting lately. I'm trying to get her to count higher and higher. She can get up to 6 so far, but it's a lot easier for her to count, and it's a lot more fun for her, and she remembers it better if we're doing something while we can't, or if there's a motivation behind it. So playing with Play-Doh was one of her favorite ways. She has this little toy oven where she has to count to 6, and then the oven is done and she can get it out. So here's the video. Wait, say count to 5 and it'll be done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good job. Ding! It's done. Open it up. They're done. Nom, nom, nom. They played okay. Are they disgusting?
Yes.
So, in addition to that, there's stuff, toys and crafts like coloring. This helps kids practice their fine motor skills because they have to write with utensils, and it helps them use their imagination because they get to pick what colors they do, and a lot of times they get to pick what they're drawing. And a lot of times it can correspond with learning things like numbers and letters depending on what you're coloring, what the craft is. A lot of toys require physical interaction as well. Things like bikes, jump ropes, and hula hoops, they all require the kids to be physically active while they use them. And in addition to that, the children understand what it feels like to trip, scrape a knee, or fall down. They learn more concepts, kind of like the jumping on the trampoline thing, where through experience, they learn, if you fall, you get hurt. So overall, it's just easier to teach concepts through experience, and play is obviously one of the first experiences that a child would want to have.
I am going to talk about the benefits of play for young children. And play is considered so important to child development that it has been recognized by the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights of every child. So this means that every child has the right to play and deserves the opportunity to play and develop to their unique potential. That is why this institution advocates for children. So play is critical to the healthy growth and development of children. As children play, they learn to solve problems, to get along with others, and to develop the fine and gross motor skills needed to grow and learn. Play is a child's setting for learning because it builds their imaginations and helps them to grow and develop. Also, play is also important to the cognitive, physical, social, and emotional well-being of children because it helps a child to develop their physical skills, cognitive concepts, their language skills, and social skills. So I'm going to talk about these 4 areas, and I'm going to give a few examples too. So in play helps children to develop their physical skills. So physical skills has 2 different areas, which are gross motors and fine motors. So children, when children play, they develop. When children play, the gross motor skills are developed as a children learns to grasp, crawl, reach, run, climb, and balance. And in the fine motor skills, those skills are developed as children manipulate small toys, which are like puzzles, stacking cups, lacing cars, Play-Doh, and all those manipulative things that children can do to develop fine motors. In the second area is develop cognitive concepts. So in this area, through play, children learn numbers, size, colors, shapes, and problem solving. Also, children have the ability to improve their memory skills and their attention span. As an example, I have like a child is pretending to be a doctor, and when the child pretends to be a doctor, the child is working on their memory. Also, they're working on decision making and problem solving. As you can see in the picture, this girl is playing with her mom, and she is using her imagination, also her memory, and she is gonna decide what kind of tools she's gonna use, so what she's going to do with her mom. So that is how a child develop their cognitive skills and concepts. In the third area, I'm going to talk about the language skills. So language develops as a child plays and interacts with others by using their words to give life to toys or to narrate stories. So in this picture, I found 2 girls playing, and it looks like they are drinking something. I'm gonna say tea, and they also are role playing, so with their bears, and they are using their language, their words, to give life to their bears and role play. So this is how play helps children to develop language skills. In the fourth area, which is the social skills, children learn to take turns, negotiate, and cooperate through playing with others. So as an example is when children do pretend play, like in this picture too, they are developing social skills because they are taking turns, they're waiting for their turn, they're negotiating, they cooperate, they communicate each other, and that's how playing helps children to develop social skills and language skills and cognitive concepts and physical skills. So play develops the brain executive function. Executive functions refers to the mental skills that allow us to manage time and attention, to plan and organize and remember details. Play is needed for healthy brain development. 75% of the brain develops after a baby is born in the years between birth and the 20s. Childhood play stimulates the brain to make connections between nerves and cells. This is what helps a child develop both gross motor skills and fine motor skills. Play during the teen years and into adulthood helps the brain develop even more cognitive, especially in the frontal lobe, which is the center for planning and making good decisions. So in conclusion, the benefits of play for young children are good for them because it helps them to interact with other people, it helps them to their brain to develop, and it helps them to take turns to develop their gross motors and fine motors and socialize with others and decision making, and all those things are going to help them when they are older. So as a parents and caregivers or teachers are important to promote and encourage kids to play so they can benefit for playing as they get older. And here's my works cited. And